The highest paid Hollywood actor in 2019 according to Forbes, one of the most famous wrestlers in the world, a guy with steel muscles and incredible charisma. Now, he's at the top of Olympus, but not everyone knows what a difficult path Dwayne the Rock Johnson had to overcome to get there. Why was he a Jonah in recent years? Why was The Rock brought before police, and what role did Johnny Depp take away from him? Hello, you are on the Biographer channel, and today you'll find out the answers to all these questions.
Wait, so this people really Google this?
But how about subscribing and pressing the bell first? Then you definitely won't miss new videos about your favorite celebrities. Click on these buttons and let's get started. It seems Dwayne was destined to become a wrestler. After all, almost all of his family is involved in this sport. Father, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, was a famous wrestler, as was Dwayne's grandfather as well as his cousins and uncles. Moreover, his mother worked as a promoter for his father, and his grandmother made a career as the head of the Women's Wrestling League in Polynesia. Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler. That was my dad, that was my uncles, and that was so many members of my family. It was the only thing they knew, and then they would end up wrestling for $100, go to autograph signings for $200. Dwayne was born on May 2nd, 1972 in California, but his father's job, connected with constant moving, didn't allow the Johnsons to sit still. As a child, Dwayne lived for some time in Auckland, New Zealand with his mother's family and went to elementary school there. Then he moved to Honolulu, where he studied until grade 11.
It's called soul gazing. Stare into my soul, and I'll stare into yours.
Come in. You are not my wife. Don't.
Hey.
Oh, that's it.
And his senior year, Dwayne spent in Pennsylvania. Sports have always been encouraged in his family. From childhood, his father took Dwayne to competitions and to the gym, taught him to work hard and instilled discipline in his boy. Together with his dad, Dwayne woke up before sunrise and kept his healthy habit into adulthood. Even now, the famous actor doesn't allow himself to relax and get up around 4 a.m. every day. Once, when he was 12 years old, the boy decided to test his capabilities on a barbell apparatus. The forces turned out to be unequal, and the barbell crushed the guy. Fortunately, this didn't harm his health, but from that moment, he began to train under the supervision of his father. As a child, Dwayne was distinguished by a high weight, so playing sports came in handy. About his family and how he was raised, Dwayne Johnson said, "My parents are very loving people. The biggest violence my father allowed was trying to persuade me to eat broccoli. Try it, you won't be disappointed," he said. And he was wrong. It is still surprising to me that he was able to retain tenderness in himself because he had a rather difficult childhood. Unfortunately, Dwayne's father couldn't provide a comfortable life for his family. He grabbed every opportunity to make money and hardly showed up at home. Over the years, Dwayne saw him less and less, and life with his mother became more difficult. In the end, when he was 14, his parents divorced. This was not the last blow for the boy. Dwayne and his mother settled in a tiny house in Honolulu, which they rented with meager savings. But even that was too expensive for them. One day, they returned home and found an eviction notice on the door. Mother and son could have spent the night in the car, but it was also seized for a tax evasion a week earlier. His mother's parents lent them money and they returned to their house, but Dwayne understood that this was a temporary measure. All these problems couldn't avoid affecting the guy's behavior. He became aggressive. At school, he constantly fought with his peers. Sometimes it came to a showdown with the police. Quarrels with his mother became usual. Dwayne was burdened by poverty and dreamed of the day when he would earn enough not to count every cent. But the noble desire to start earning led the guy in the wrong direction. With good physical training, he didn't think of anything better than using it in the world of crime. And while his mother worked as a cleaner, Dwayne, as part of one of the Waikiki gangs, robbed branded clothing and jewelry stores. Fortunately, the guy quickly realized that such a path was unlikely to lead him to professional sports, but to prison easily. My freshman and sophomore years in high school, I spent a lot of time trying to get back on the right track. I was arrested multiple times by the time I was 16, so I had a little harder time trying to adjust like a lot of us do in high school. He really would have gone to jail for a long time if he hadn't met a man in his senior year who changed his life for the better. By the age of 16, Dwayne had been expelled from 4 schools. Finally, in Pennsylvania, he entered Freedom High School. One day, Dwayne went to a boys' restroom, but it was so smoky that he used the teacher's restroom. When he was washing his hands, the coach of the local football team saw him and was indignant. Students were strictly forbidden to use the teacher's restroom. To his stern stout, Dwayne replied, "Yeah, I'll leave, just washing my hands." The coach boiled with anger, but said nothing, and Dwayne had been plagued with guilt all day. The next morning, he found the coach and asked for forgiveness, after which he gave the high school student an appraising glance and invited him to work out. He looked at me, and I was a typical rabble who didn't respect elders, and said, "I believe in you. I will never forget what this person did for my future." Well, Dwayne was a good fit for the sport. Already in those years, Dwayne Johnson was 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 225 pounds of solid muscle. Due to his size and appearance, which was not very appropriate for his age, classmates thought that Dwayne was actually an undercover agent. It was thanks to the coach who believed in him that the undercover cop started playing American football and also became a member of the school's athletics and wrestling team. Dwayne achieved not only good results in games, but also improved his academic performance. After all, now he had a real chance to get out of poverty. The best U.S. universities were ready to get such a student to play for their national team. By the time he graduated, he had chosen from a variety of proposals from U.S. universities and ended up giving his preference to the University of Miami, which offered him a full content scholarship. Everything went very well at first. Johnson made a good impression on coaches and teammates and was considered one of the most promising players. In 1991, as part of the Miami Hurricanes team, Dwayne Johnson won the NCAA National Student Championship. However, at the same time, Warren Sapp, the future NFL star, came to the Miami Hurricanes. He was put in play in the same position as Dwayne, and this time The Rock had to move. He remembers very well one of the conversations with Warren.
I was starting defensive tackle. Yeah, they moved him over to D-line. And he looked at me, he's like, "Yo, dude, I'm gonna take your spot." I said, "You ain't taking my fucking spot." He said, "I'm gonna take your spot." I said, "No, you ain't." We battled, and he took my spot.
At that moment, the world collapsed for Dwayne. National Football League, invitations to the best teams, all these dreams are in the past. The following years of study at the university became a real test for him. During his 4 years with the Hurricanes, Johnson entered the field in 39 games and only 1 was in the starting lineup. Without his main trump card, a leadership position in a football team, the university didn't need the guy. His average grade for the first year was 0.7. Dwayne was on the verge of exclusion, and it was only thanks to the protection of his coach that he didn't leave. Dwayne graduated in 1995 with a BA in criminology and psychology. After that, he managed to sign a 3-year contract with the Calgary Stampeders from the Canadian Football League. Memories of those difficult times now motivate Dwayne. He hasn't forgotten how he received $250 Canadian a week, which he sent to his wife. Living with 2 teammates, constantly eating noodles and sleeping on a dirty mattress, hoping the Calgary coach would soon get him off the bench. And each time, it gives him the strength to move only forward, never again to be in the same position as before. Despite the efforts, having played the entire season, Dwayne suffered a back injury and was forced to end his career as a professional footballer. His father took him home early in the morning in his car because the guy didn't have money for the trip. And while the old pickup truck took Dwayne further and further from his dream, the guy opened his wallet and found that he had $7 left. Dwayne thought this was the end. That's why many years later, being already a famous actor, he will call his production company $7 Productions, in honor of one of the most difficult moments of his life. After leaving his parental home, he planned to become the best player get into the NFL and make a lot of money, to finally pull his parents out of poverty. But all of his dreams were shattered.
That was hard. It was hard. That was a hard kick in the gut because I'd worked for years and years and years to make it to the NFL. I didn't. My friends around me were making it, and they were becoming millionaires and buying their parents' houses, all the dreams that we all had, and they were living the dreams that we had, and I was not. I was actually living a nightmare. I fell into depression at that time.
At that moment, Dwayne realized that the path he recognized as right was not for him. And when the coach of the Calgary Stampeders unexpectedly called Dwayne with a proposal to return to the team, he refused, because by that time, he had decided that he had no way back. But there is a new goal. Dwayne asked his father to become his wrestling coach, and he, fortunately for our hero, agreed. Dwayne changed tactics and showed viewers his new alter ego. Aggressive, tough, and rule-breaking. And it was successful. In a spectacular role, he managed to earn the boundless love of the public, win the championship in various WWE competitions 17 times, and even become a part of pop culture. I will not go into detail about Dwayne's entire journey in this sphere, but I want to tell you about one day which The Rock called the most difficult day in his life. This is one of the most tragic incidents in the history of wrestling, when the famous athlete Owen Hart died right before the start of the show. He was supposed to go down to the ring on a cable, but fell from a 24-meter height and hit the ropes hard with his chest. It was impossible to save the athlete. All was aggravated by the fact that the show was still held. And the next wrestler who was supposed to enter the ring after the incident was Dwayne, who was very close to Owen and his family. The Rock talked about watching from behind the curtains as Owen was resuscitated. Dwayne was ready to run there and be with his friend, but at that moment he realized that if he was there, the audience would perceive it as part of the performance. Dwayne had to participate. Later, he called it the hardest fight he ever had to do. It is difficult to imagine Johnson's feelings when he was eager for a dying friend, but he had no right to reveal the seriousness of the moment to the public, making a performance out of the tragedy. In the wrestling profession, The Rock has achieved a lot. Dwayne finally felt happy. First of all, he bought a house for his mother, helped his father with money, and then fulfilled his childhood dream and bought a real Rolex watch. At this stage, The Rock realized that in wrestling, he had achieved everything he wanted. But of course, he was not going to stop. He had another old dream. As a child, Dwayne watched Rocky, and in his words, it was like something had turned upside down. Sylvester Stallone from Rocky became a role model for him. Therefore, now, having gained popularity, Dwayne decided, like Mickey Rourke, Hulk Hogan, and many other wrestlers who went to the cinema, to become an actor. I was not the happiest teenager. I gave my family lots of problems. But bodybuilding helped me a lot. It set the right direction in my life, taught me to set goals, achieve results, and finally respect myself. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone became for me a kind of role models, and from there, it was a stone's throw to the dream of acting. Okay, while Dwayne in our story goes to Hollywood to make a dream come true, I'll ask you, which of the films with him do you like the most and why? Share your opinion in the comments. I read and like everything. Dwayne first appeared on television in That 70s Show in 1999. A year later, he took part in the TV series Star Trek Voyager, where in an episode of Tonkatse, he played the role of Champion. An important role in his development as an actor was played by the autobiographical book The Rock Speaks, released in 2000, which became a bestseller on the New York Times list. This greatly fueled interest in the person of The Rock, including in Hollywood. In the same year, Dwayne Johnson was offered his first major supporting role in The Mummy Returns. The wrestler was accompanied by such stars as Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. I must say that this is not the first appearance of the champion on the screen. The athletes of the WWE Wrestling Company attract the attention of Hollywood directors. Dave Bautista, who plays Drax the Destroyer in the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, is among the most successful bodybuilders. Audiences like this hero so much that the studio decided to create a prequel called The Scorpion King and invited Dwayne to the main role.
Well, are you going gonna try to kill me or just stare at me?
The fee for this work amounted to $5.5 million and entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest payment for the first leading role. The success of the film provided Dwayne with great demand as an action movie actor. In 2000, seeing that his acting career was on the rise, Johnson announced that he was taking a break from wrestling for a while. But he was not gone forever, and to this day appears in the ring from time to time. He also appeared in battles as a guest presenter. In 2004, Dwayne again starred as Chris Vaughn in the action drama Walking Tall. Soon, pictures of other genres began to appear in the actor's filmography. I would like to pay attention to the sports drama in 2006 Gridiron Gang, where Dwayne played the main role of an officer who, disappointed in the methods of re-educating juvenile delinquents, decides to put them together on an American football team. But there are not many people willing to share their experience with young bandits. Agreed, there is something autobiographical in this. After all, Dwayne himself also had a man in his life who pulled him out of the world of crime and instilled a love of football. He is no worse at comedy images. For example, in a movie he played a professional football player who one day finds out about the existence of his 8-year-old daughter. Interestingly, on set, the actor managed to get a serious injury to the Achilles tendon during football training. But for his work, Dwayne was nominated for Best Movie Actor in the Kids' Choice Awards. The actor also played in the black comedy Pain and Gain, where he played a bodybuilder. The cast also included Mark Wahlberg and Ed Harris. And yet, not all of the actor's genre experiments were successful. For example, the movie Tooth Fairy, released in 2010. The film grossed a solid profit at the box office, $112.5 million, on a budget of $48 million. But critics and Johnson himself were not overly pleased. In fact, the film turned out to be so disappointing that it made Johnson think about his career and understand that he needed to change agents. It was not easy for him, because he worked with these people for a very long time. But given the further meteoric rise of Johnson's career, the decision was right. Further in Johnson's film career were action films, Doom, and many others. In addition, he also appeared in documentaries about sports. And in 2011, a new streak of success began for the muscular actor, which was marked by filming of the continuation of the series of popular racing films Fast and the Furious. Johnson first appeared in Part 5 alongside Vin Diesel and Paul Walker in Fast 5. Writer Chris Morgan specifically rewrote the role of Agent Luke Hobbs as Dwayne, so that the viewer can enjoy the brutal Vin Diesel and The Rock in one shot.
Jake is thinking you got a goddamn choice, boy.
But The Rock didn't forget about wrestling either. On January 7, 2013, Dwayne Johnson officially returned to the Federation, performing occasionally, mainly on the Raw brand. In 2013, Dwayne had an important fight with John Cena. 45 minutes are allotted for the fight without breaks for advertising. After 15 minutes of the match, The Rock is lying on the floor with a hellish pain in his leg. The injury is so severe that Dwayne has to work hard to get up. He cannot step on his foot. The game is in full swing, in the stands of 85,000 spectators. The ref asks if he's okay, and The Rock must decide whether to continue the fight or not. He has the opportunity to refuse because the injury is obviously serious and there is practically no chance that he will win. But he knows that he cannot let his team and himself down. And he continues to fight. Do you think there will be a magical story like this in a movie where the hero wins with the last bit of strength? No. John Cena methodically regains the title of champion. Later, it turns out that The Rock completely tore his abductor muscle, and the athlete knows that this is a very unpleasant injury. But the point of the story is not at all that Johnson lost, but in this one.
What I was proud of was to walk out on my own, but not only that, but in this fucking moment where the odds are against you, people are watching, your team's depending on you, you either say, I'm done, or this shit, whatever the fuck is going on, it's temporary, and it may fuck me up at some point down the road, but I'm not gonna let this opportunity go by without giving it my all.
The loss, of course, did not stop The Rock. In 2014, the premiere of Hercules took place, in which Johnson played the main role. Irina Shayk and Rebecca Ferguson starred in an action-adventure movie with Johnson. This was a special role for him. I was born to play Hercules. I have loved and honored the mythology over the years, since I was a kid. When I first broke into Hollywood, Hercules was one of the movies that I, not chased, because I didn't have the power to chase anything, but always had in the back of my mind. Although Dwayne had good athletic training, a stunt double performs some of the tricks for him. More often than others, he is dubbed by his cousin Tanoa Rita. By the way, replacing The Rock in The Treasure of the Amazon in 2003, he broke his leg. Dwayne has not forgotten everything that the stunt double did for him, and in 2018 gave him a truck. Johnson once had to risk his own life. In 2015, he had to hang out on a cable and descend from a helicopter to a car stuck in a rock. And this is at an altitude of about 50 meters. The fact is that the director wanted to convey the real emotions of actors and at the same time reduce the editing of this scene to a minimum, so it was decided to refuse understudies. Dwayne took a chance and it worked. Although he himself is sure hardly anyone else from the stars would agree to this.
Say we get you home now.
I think that's a really good idea.
2016 turned out to be especially fruitful for the actor. Dwayne Johnson stars as Bob Stone in a comedy, and he also voiced Maui in the animated film Moana. The directors wanted only Dwayne Johnson to voice the hero and no one else. Therefore, they immediately turned to the actor with a proposal, not listening to anyone else. It is interesting that at first the character even looked like Johnson. He had an athletic physique and his head was bald. But during an expedition to the Pacific Islands, consultants advised the filmmakers to revise the demigod's appearance and make it more consistent with the legends. Nevertheless, some of Maui's habits, for example the way he moves his eyebrow, and also his movements were nevertheless copied directly from Johnson.
When you're staring at a demigod, what can I say except you're welcome?
In the same year, Dwayne Johnson was named the highest paid actor in the world. But the actor, of course, was not going to stop there. This was followed by roles in the next two parts of Fast and the Furious, Jumanji and Baywatch. But the shooting of Fast and the Furious 8 was overshadowed by an unpleasant conflict with Vin Diesel. It all started with Dwayne posting a photo with text, which he then deleted. Some male co-stars conduct themselves as stand-up men and true professionals, while others don't. It was perfectly clear to anyone that it was about the leading actor and co-producer of the franchise, Vin Diesel, whose creative solutions were not always approved by his colleagues. It got to the point that the director had to dodge and shoot their scenes together so that the actors did not even see each other. Some suggested that this quarrel was directly related to the PR campaign of Fast and the Furious. After all, there was a spin-off of Hobbs and Shaw ahead, but the stars, even at events to promote the picture, participated exclusively in isolation. Diesel later said the rumors of a quarrel were exaggerated, and the only problem was that it was difficult for the two alphas to get along on the same set. Maybe there is some truth in this. The Rock, in turn, said at some point after a serious conversation with Diesel, he realized that they had two different views of making films. Despite the fact that according to the actors, the conflict is settled, Johnson did not appear in the 9th part. But The Rock also has a lot of work besides the racing franchise. I have an immense amount of respect for acting. I've always loved movies and was always fascinated by movie making. In 2019, the second part of Jumanji, in which Johnson appeared on the same site for the 4th time with Kevin Hart. Prior to that, they worked together on films in which Hart had a cameo. There is definitely a chemistry between these actors that made us love their characters even more. In the same year, news broke that Dwayne Johnson would play the role of Black Adam in a solo project. The film follows the rise of Teth Adam, a DC Comics anti-hero who was a longtime enemy of Shazam. In the film, he will fight the Justice Society of America. In the summer of 2021, The Rock posted the first frame of the upcoming film on Instagram, drawing the attention of subscribers to the fact that a tight-fitting suit on him differs from the typical clothing with additional muscles which is usually worn by DC and Marvel characters. In addition, unlike normal superheroes, Black Adam kills bad guys, Rock promised. After all, his pain comes from the loss of his wife and children. The premiere of the film is scheduled for July 29, 2022. In addition, G.I. Joe 3 is in production, and also the action comedy Red Notice. In it, Dwayne played the Interpol agent, the greatest tracker in the world. He was accompanied by Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. As usual, the most interesting things we have in store are for the end. Here are some interesting facts about The Rock. Johnson is seriously involved in charity work. 12 years ago, he founded the foundation to help terminally ill children. He also has another foundation, one that works with difficult teenagers. If someone tells you that Dwayne Johnson is not a serious actor, then just tell him about it. A couple of years ago, Dwayne was sent a letter that read, "Been enjoying your movies over the years. Very entertaining. I feel like I've really gotten to know you over the years. Most recently, after watching you host Saturday Night Live. Great job. You continue to go for it. Proud of your work and look forward to meeting you. Steven Spielberg." Well, this is one of the proofs that Dwayne is definitely more than just a mountain of muscle. This is a man with wild charisma and fortitude, for which the fans love him. That is why he realized himself as an actor.
Smoldering intensity.
Dwayne Johnson is considered one of the most famous wrestlers in WWE history. Until now, when he appears in wrestling as a guest, fans greet him with a standing ovation and don't give a pass. And with the same interest, they are waiting for the releases of his new films. But Dwayne Johnson, of course, is far from the only star associated with sports and show business. For example, if you click on the video that appeared on your screen, you can watch an equally interesting biography of Joe Rogan, comedian, podcaster, and one of the best UFC commentators. Click on the video, and believe me, you will not regret it. That's all for today. I tried to choose the most interesting things about The Rock. I hope you liked it and you liked this video. See you soon on the Biographer channel.